Hello again YouTube, and welcome back to Just Get a Tesla. And today I've got to drive from Sheffield, where I am now, up to Glasgow and then to home. And if you've seen last week's video, you saw that I was trying to drive efficiently on slower roads. Today it's the motorway and faster roads, but as you can see, it's a bit cold. What difference is that going to make to range? So despite getting a reasonable coverage overnight, it's actually not that bad. The roads are clear, and having had a look at traffic, it doesn't look like any of the routes that I'm going to take are being particularly impacted by the furry white stuff. From a traction perspective, this is the all-wheel drive car, and I am on all-season tyres, so I'm not expecting to have particular problems. But even so, this is not expected. This is unexpected. This is not what I was thinking today's video was going to involve, because the snow has suddenly arrived fairly rapidly out of nowhere. So anyway, a new challenge. We all like some of that. It really is plastered in it. Let's get out of here. I'm actually impressed by just how much snow has come down, because none of this was here yesterday. And okay, the roads are clear, that's fine. But it really piled its way down yesterday evening and overnight. So it's 8 in the morning. I am just leaving Sheffield now onto the M1 motorway. The route is M1, A1, and then across from Scotch Corner on the A66. That could be interesting because that's seriously high. It is open according to traffic. And then basically up the M6 to the charger at Gretna. So I've set off on 83%, and it's saying that I'm going to arrive at Gretna on -7%. It wanted me to do a top off at Scotch Corner, to which I have politely declined, but it's now telling me that if I stay below 63 miles an hour, then I'll arrive above 6% on charge. So we'll see how we get on with that. So again, the plan for today was to drive efficiently on the motorway. So how can I do a long run up a fast road like this at a moderate speed and see how efficient it is? Now, as you can see, the conditions are not necessarily ideal. So that is obviously going to have an impact. All of this wet that's being thrown up clearly affects efficiency because of rolling resistance. It's 2 degrees. That also doesn't help. So this is really going to be a challenge. The one thing that I am happy about, though, is that I have got Michelin Cross Climate 2 tyres, which are ideal for these kinds of conditions. We've been going for about half an hour. Traffic's a little bit heavy in a few places, but we have swung from a predicted state of charge at Gretna of -7 to a predicted state of charge of +7, so a 10% swing, and that is entirely because of the fact that the car thought I was going to be drinking electrons like it was going out of business in the cold, but actually in the 34 miles since I left Sheffield city centre, we have done 297 watt-hours per mile. Now that's still a reasonably high-ish rate of consumption, but compared to what it thought that it was going to be, it's absolutely fine. And that is dropping, and essentially the West Yorkshire part of the M1 is basically like that. So you end up burning power going up and then coasting on the way down. Quite entertaining, actually. It was shouting at me saying, "You've got to stay below 65 to reach your destination," while I'm doing 70. But yes, I'm doing 70 whilst not burning any power. Not burning power is good if you want to get there. So there are times where you think, yeah, the car could just think a little smarter. On the A66 now, heading across the Pennines, and what we're 104 miles in, 309 watt-hours per mile, so it has gone up. But then again, I'm going up. We are climbing over the Pennines, so it's going to go up and then it'll go back down again. But it's telling me I'm going to arrive now on 13%, 13, versus -7 where we started off. So that's a good thing. And all the snow has gone. So I thought it would look amazing up here, and all the snow didn't get anywhere near this far north. So it was literally just a band across Lancashire and West Yorkshire by the look of it. Okay, we've got some at home as well, but that is the North Pole, so you'd expect if there's snow in the country we would get it, but down here nothing. So that probably now means that it's going to be relatively plain sailing on the trip back. But obviously this is a question about efficiency. Does driving at a steady 60-65 miles an hour make the car more efficient than when I'm going at 50 to 55 miles an hour, but on roads where there's a bit more disruption, so where you have to turn off, or you get roundabouts, or other such things, slowing down to go through a village? Is that more efficient, or is a faster, steadier speed efficient? As we climb up towards Stainmore Summit, I'm just having a look on the energy use charts, and yeah, some of the numbers when you're basically climbing for a decent period look quite entertaining. So my 5 mile average consumption is 534 watt hours per mile, which obviously is quite a lot. Happily, we are now practically at the top, and then we get to lose all the height again as we head back down the hill, and that will obviously plunge fairly significantly. But yeah, we climb up here, and the car has to burn a huge amount of energy to do it, as does any mechanical engine, because climbing does take a lot more power. And then as you start to drop over, so we're basically rolling now off onto the downhill, that is going to absolutely collapse. When it comes to trying to conserve energy, I do confess that I stick the car in neutral sometimes and let it roll, which is the way that my Mitsubishi Outlander used to drive. So basically you turn the regen down to 0, or the Hyundai Ioniq, the exact same thing, turn the regen down to 0 and it will just coast. You can do that if you've got undulating conditions. This is a plummet down the hill, and we don't want to be doing that. So what I'm doing instead is feathering the throttle and basically just pulling a bit of regen in just to keep our descent in check. Otherwise we'd be doing like 100 million miles an hour by the time we get to the bottom of the hill. But it's good for energy consumption. So again, my 5 mile average is now 238, and it's still dropping. We've got to 92 as the 5 mile average. 90, but the road has gone flat now, so I don't think we're going to get any better than that. So an average of 89. We're at the bottom now. 89 kilowatt hours average over the last 5 miles, which is pretty good. So what that means is that my trip average since we set off is 309, which is exactly where it was before I started the hill climbing. So basically, all of the energy that we burned climbing up, we have effectively regened and coasted our way back in, so that the energy use has stayed actually flat on that one. But to be fair, that is a section of road which has got a pretty steady climb up one side and then a pretty steady descent down the other. If it was a much longer climb and then a shorter, steeper descent, you wouldn't get the same balance as we've just had here. Rolling up to the chargers here at Gretna Services, I'm arriving on 5%. So the last, well, how can I put this? The last 15 miles, we ended up doing 363 watt hours per mile, but that was only because of the fact that we have been preheating the battery to be able to charge quickly. Until it started preheating, I was going to arrive on, I think, 12 or 13 or something like that. So we lost a chunk of it. It's almost as if it wasn't thinking that we were charging here. So I had this as the destination, as the charger, but it doesn't appear to have factored in the fact that we were obviously going to charge. So look at this, they're all empty. So yeah, the slightly odd thing, when it was saying minus 7% initially on arrival, did that not count me doing any charging, preheating at all? Because in which case, minus 7% is more like minus 12. So me arriving here on 5% is pretty impressive, really. And that's all we need to do, because it's a Tesla charger. Plug and go. And with a preheated battery at 5%, I would expect that this thing is going to bang up to some exciting charge rate really pretty quickly. So where are we? Yeah. 218, 238, 257. It's a 250 kilowatt charger, and we just hit a brief 257, and we're still going at, well, 247. Good. This is the bit where my needs aren't necessarily the same as everybody else's needs, and your needs watching this might not be the same as the next person who's watching this. The car only needs 15 minutes of charging to get me to where I'm going with a comfortable margin, but I timed this knowing I needed to dial into a meeting, well, kind of about now. So I'm going to do that and stick more charge in, which will then save me a bit more time later on. Okay, business meeting done. And I am now heading home. So I was doing this as a straight comparison between one location and another location, broadly on different routes, and let's see which one is the more efficient. I've actually parked the end of that. It's gonna have to wait, because basically I need to get home, and I need to get home now pronto, because up at the North Pole where I live, it's snowing like crazy. Oh God. Look at this. And basically everything appears to be on the verge of shutting down. So I want to get up there basically before it turns into the North Pole proper. So bear with me, because a little bit further on this video, you're going to get some snow, and we're going to get to test live what these all-season tyres are actually like in live testing, because it's the first time on this trip that I've had temperatures even down as low as 2 degrees, and we're going to have some snow now as well, so that'll be nice. See you in a bit. In a shameless piece of self-marketing, this week's video is brought to you by both of my retail businesses. First of all, by ts.la Stationery, which is the wonderful shop that I'm standing in here now. If you want really cool things like Harris Tweed notepads, come and check us out, stellastationery.co.uk, and use the word GET for a 10% discount. And also by Millibricks, which is my Lego-compatible toys business selling World War II cool sets like tanks and planes. And again, millibricks.co.uk, put the code GET in at the checkout and get 10% off. Back to this week's video. This trip home is going to be fun. So I am already on diversion, because heading up the M80 with the view of going Stirling to Perth that way, the sign shows up and says A9 closed north of basically up near Glen Eagles. It's like, aha, okay, so from there, the only obvious way to go is on this, the Clackmannanananananshire Bridge, and basically up through Fife and pick the M90 up that way. So, yeah, this is going to be quite entertaining. Also quite entertaining is the way that, and this is the interesting bit, I have got premium connectivity on this car, so that is a pay-for feature, and that's supposed to give you live traffic, and it's still trying to divert me up the A9, which all of the signs, and I've been past multiple ones, all say it is shut. So the car is trying to route me away, which I cannot go. Madness. And here we are at the Perth supercharger, and it is how do you say in Lancashire, proper busy. So basically these are old V2 chargers, and every single pair has got somebody on it. So basically I have no choice but to hook up onto somebody and to split their charge. So I'm now getting 73 kilowatts, which is so slow that I might as well be driving a Polestar. Anyway, it's also really, really, really really cold, even having put the fleece back on. So I think a quick trip into the shop, because I really fancy some chocolatey goodness, and then onwards to the snow of joy. I'm on the Aberdeen Western Peripheral, and suddenly we have got some snow on the ground and intruding into the lanes a little bit. Everyone's slowing down, and yeah, here it comes. It's 1 degree, so this is perfect for snow. It's not really snowing at the moment. I'm not sure what this is that's coming down. It's more drizzle than it is anything else, which isn't going to help. But we're going to keep an eye on traffic because it's 20 past 5, so we're right at the the sort of core bit at the peak. So it's going to be quite busy. So I am more concerned about getting there safely than I am about setting any records or indeed anything about efficiency at the moment. It is what it is, and we'll report on it when we get along there. I mean, basically 300 watt hours per mile in the 83 miles since I left Perth. So yeah, about the same as it has been, but it is blisteringly cold, as I'm saying. This is going to be a fun drive home. Because you can see it is now absolutely tipping down. I am north of Aberdeen. The Western Peripheral has just ended and we've joined the A90 heading north. And yeah, but I still feel like I've got decent grip again. I am wearing, the car is wearing Michelin Cross Climate 2 tyres, so all-season tyres. They are rated for snow and ice. Well, this is my first time driving in those kinds of rubber, and I certainly feel a little bit more confidence than I would do if I was still on OEM summer tyres. Let's put it that way. It gets quite hypnotic when you're driving in snow that's being blown in your face and it's just coming at you like this. I mean, you can see that on the camera. It's just kind of this tunnel of snow blowing. It's also offering the autopilot, so all right, let's do that. There's been several points where it's been knocking off, and actually I can feel we'll knock that off straight away. I can feel the steering wheel twitching in my hands as it's trying to find exactly where the edges are, which is quite interesting. Other than that, I've had the Test Logic app running, and again we are on predominantly rear-wheel drive practically everywhere. I will see the front kick in here and there, I am sure. From an efficiency perspective, I haven't slowed down, and the last 5 miles we have done 193 watt hours per mile. So it's cold and it's snowing hard, as you can see, but I'm going relatively slowly. I'm doing 50 miles an hour, and perhaps it's that that's making it nice. Very odd that my all-wheel drive Tesla is rear-wheel drive, because again I've just been looking on the Test Logic app, and I can't record it while I'm doing this, unlike on the previous video, so apologies for that. But I'm looking at the Test Logic app and I'm waiting for the moment where the front motor kicks in, and it's not doing so at all. This is quite slushy in places. Yeah, and okay, so I don't feel dramatically slidey because again I'm on all-season tyres, but I would have thought that having both motors going when you're on these kind of conditions would probably be a good idea, and it just isn't happening. Let's put it like this: if I was still in my Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid, then I would have had four-wheel drive engaged by now, most definitely. four-wheel drive in that car with electric motors got me out of trouble in an actual blizzard where practically everybody else was getting stuck. So electric four-wheel drive is fantastic. It's a little disappointing that my all-wheel drive car isn't doing it. I'm hoping we see that again, because what we've got here is thunder snow. I've just had a massive flash of lightning ripple across the sky, as well as, well, it's turned a bit sleety, but it keeps coming down really, really chunky, and then it gets a bit wetter, and then it turns back into snow. So it's, I don't think we're going to get a huge amount more coming down, but that's okay. Until then, let's see what it's like. Basically, it's now climbing towards my village, which is a little higher up than this. It's not dramatically. It's not up in the sky, but it's certainly going to make a difference. And as I understand it, the weather where I live has been much snowier than it has been 11 miles down the hill on the coast. So, yeah, that also makes for something, doesn't it? Also, the ruts in the snow are starting to disappear, so that does show that it is coming down and settling again. Okay, so there's not a lot down, and to be fair, from a grip perspective, it feels absolutely fine, but even so. More printing going on. Wow, it's really starting to come down. Gosh. Yeah, the ruts aren't necessarily in the right place though. Oh God. Look at this. Wowee. We're down to 25 miles an hour for good reason. Five miles to run. Every now and then, I just back the throttle off just a little bit. Let the car slow itself back down again. Where the centre of the rut is, it's there. As people have driven people have driven different lines along here. Traction still feels decent. This is what's fun about YouTube. I absolutely genuinely have no plans at all to be shooting winter driving on this trip, to be testing the all-wheel drive system and these all-weather tyres in the snow. And yet here we are. Here we are. And you're on board with me as I go on this little adventure of traction. Easing it down nice and gently. 30 miles an hour into the village. No, I don't think so. 30 feels a little bit quick. Of course, now the fresh challenge is, am I going to be able to get it up the side lane and then down my driveway? So we have got 29% left in the battery, so we could just leave it out on the street if I can find somewhere to dump it. One way to find out when we get down here in just a minute. So when I started this trip a few days ago, and I thought, what are these videos about? And there was going to be a two-parter efficiency challenge. I really had no idea that the second part was going to end in snow lunacy, including what is either me trying to recreate the DeLorean going to 88 miles an hour, or actually in reality me getting to about there and not able to get any further despite having all season tyres. It just wouldn't go. And that means we then have to do the winter emergency charging protocol, where basically I get out the very, very, very long charging lead. Well, I say lead, it's actually leads plural. There are 2 of them. So we have got the Tesla. Yes, it's up on the pavement, but it's actually parked basically out of the path. There's no different to where the wall is. And we have then got basically the granny charger plugged in down the side, and that's going to one charger, which is, we'll try part of that again, this time with the portable light, so that I can shine something. So the flower pot of joy covering up the connection between the Tesla granny charger, which you can see just about flashing away down there, and the other lead, because yes, that one isn't a waterproof socket, and yes, I know, but I've tested this for the last few winters. Nothing gets underneath the flower pot with where it is, and basically you've then got my other extension lead, and that goes all the way down here, and to my external socket. So I hope you found the evolution of this video to be as entertaining as I didn't find it while I was driving it. But hey, life's fun. If you like what you see and you want to see me with the camera set up so that we can actually do some proper testing of all-wheel drive using the Tesla Logic app, make sure you've subscribed, because there's going to be quite a lot more videos to come. And I'll see you back here very soon on Just Get a Tesla.